Move to questions to the First Minister. Question number 1, Cathy Jameson.
Presiding Officer, I would like to ask the First Minister what engagements he has planned for the rest of the day.
First Minister.
Well, later today I've got engagements to take forward the Government's programme for Scotland. I'm sure the whole Chamber will want to join with me in celebrating a week of Scottish sporting success, the victories of our Paralympians in Beijing, Andy Murray's progress to the US Open final, and of course the victory of George Burley's team in Reykjavik last evening. And I know that Cathy Jameson will join in me in making sure this is not the last World Cup competition that a Scottish international team competes in, regardless of pressure from anywhere else.
Cathy Jameson.
Presiding Officer, I would just note that the successful Scotland team last night was, of course, led by manager George Burley, a good come-up boy. Presiding Officer, on a serious matter, I would like to quote from a letter sent to the First Minister by the daughter of SNP Councillor Hanif, who has been exposed in the media for encouraging his children to fire a Kalashnikov assault rifle. This is what she said. "My siblings and I were put in an environment where people were pointing loaded AK-47 guns at each other. I cannot believe you have taken it so lightly." Presiding Officer, can I ask the First Minister, has he replied to that letter yet?
First Minister.
I haven't replied as yet. I've seen the letter in the press. I've not actually read the letter, but certainly I will be replying to the letter when I have the letter received. I don't accept that the matter has been taken lightly by the SNP. Suspension from a political party is a serious matter. Councillor Hanif's actions have been condemned by the party as being extremely unwise, and I don't accept the interpretation that the matter has been taken lightly in any shape or form.
Cathy Jameson.
Presiding Officer, I wonder if I could draw the Chamber's attention to the comments of the First Minister's colleague John Mason, who believes that SNP Councillor Hanif has been harshly treated by being suspended for a mere 2 months, describing that as a bit severe.
Ms Jameson, I do find that this is a matter of party interest, not really of political interest.
Indeed. Presiding Officer, I appreciate that there are matters to do with the party, but I also think that this is something that the people of Scotland are concerned about.
First Minister.
Well, I believe it is a matter of party interest. Obviously, I'll do my best, Presiding Officer, to keep it within First Ministerial responsibilities. But in terms of the general interest in such matters, perhaps the Labour Party would now like to join with the Justice Secretary in taking action against the guns that are available in Scotland and supporting with us our claim in Westminster that this Parliament should have the right to restrict airgun access across the whole of Scotland.
Presiding Officer, I have no difficulty in working with any party who want to reduce violent crime across Scotland, and I think it's incumbent on politicians to set an example in that regard. But, Presiding Officer, could I ask the First Minister if he agrees with his colleague John Mason, who has branded critics of the SNP councillor as racist? This is a very serious matter, Presiding Officer. Does the First Minister believe that the editor of the Evening Times, Glasgow Central MP Mohammed Sarwar, and the Conservative Justice spokesperson Bill Aitken are racist?
No.
Cathy Jameson.
Well, I am very pleased to hear that response from the First Minister, because Councillor Shaukat Butt, who is a very senior and respected member of Glasgow's Asian community, is commenting on John Mason's comments, saying that they are ridiculous. He says it is wrong to suggest that reports of Councillor
Ms Jameson, can I be assured that this question you're going to put falls under First Ministerial responsibility?
It does indeed. I believe it does, Presiding Officer. If I could reiterate, Councillor Shaukat Butt has said that John Mason's comments are ridiculous, and it's wrong to suggest that reports of Councillor Hanif's actions have anything to do with race. I think this is a very serious matter. I also believe that most ordinary decent families will agree with Councillor Butt that John Mason's comments are disgraceful. Will the First Minister now apologise for those comments made by his colleague?
First Minister.
Well, not for a second does John Mason accuse that range of people or somebody else commenting on what John Mason said as being racist. Now, I actually had a look at one of the websites and blogs arising for this matter, and it is true that on the blog, not from any of the people that Cathy Jimison mentioned, I saw comments which could only be described as totally unacceptable, comments about who was a real Scot and who wasn't a real Scot. Let me say that I believe that everyone, no, they weren't SNP blogs, they were the blog of the Glasgow Evening Times commenting on the story. Let me say that I believe that everyone in this country is a real Scot. I believe that we should approach these matters without any tinge, as was in that blog, of racist comments, and I think this whole chamber should unite in deploring and deprecating racism in Scottish society wherever it emerges, and that point of unity should not be lost in an attempt to say what somebody might have said about somebody and to gain party advantage. And finally, can I say to Cathy Jimison, and I wish her good luck on Saturday, that there are a whole range of issues for which I have responsibility across Scottish society as First Minister. I would